From Bosstrack, it's Her HypeSquad, a show about amazing women who've made incredible strides as leaders in their industry. They're here to support you and your leadership growth, to encourage you and hype you up as part of your Hype Squad. Hello, and welcome back to a new episode of Her Hype Squad with Bosstrack. I'm your host, Michelle Harris. In this conversation, I talk with Renee Lopez-Cantera, Senior VP of Sales and Marketing with EKN Solutions. Renee and I talk about mindset, motivation, and living authentically to your why. We talk about how to shape your mindset, pushing your limits, scaling mountains, and even meditation. We had such an insightful and motivating discussion that I'm so anxious to share with you. But before we hop into the conversation, I want to give you a little bit of background on Renee. Renee Lopez-Cantera has spent the last 20 plus years working in various leadership positions in consumer marketing, specializing in digital marketing strategy. She's worked in varied industries, including media, real estate, political, entrepreneurial, and consumer product ventures. As the Senior VP of Sales and Marketing, Renee works hands-on with several companies and ad agencies, leading development, strategy, and marketing initiatives where endeavors are to enhance client growth via online sales. Over her career tenure, she has also led product development teams and partnerships with entrepreneurial organizations such as Emerge Americas and Enterprise Florida. Renee serves as an executive board member of Mindful Kids Miami, the New World School of the Arts, and the Hebrew Free Loan Association. She is also an active committee member of the United Way and Big Brothers Big Sisters. She co-chairs the Code Art Circle of Ambassadors, working to increase gender and racial diversity in computer science by providing underserved girls with full scholarships. In the corporate and tech arena, she currently serves as a board member to startup companies and has been awarded several awards, including the Distinguished Knight Foundation Scholarship for Women in Tech, held by the Commonwealth Forum. In this capacity, Renee and her colleagues collaborated and were encouraged to advance emerging technologies in their respective fields. Renee is an advisory board member for the University of Miami Marketing Department and the University of Miami Department of Computing. She enjoys free time running outdoors and spending time with her husband and 2 daughters. So without further delay, I present to you my conversation with Renee Lopez-Cantera. Hi, Renee. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're really happy to have you on our podcast episode.
Oh, thanks, Michelle. It's wonderful to be here with you today.
I would love for you to explain to the audience a little bit about who you are, your background, what you do. We did provide a bio up front. We did get the whole formal, who is Renee Lopez-Cantera, but I'd love for you to kind of give your overview to everyone.
Oh, sure. Well, I'm a VP of Sales and Marketing at EKN Digital Solutions. And it's a great opportunity because I'm out there networking and discussing things with my clients so often that I learn so many things in so many fields. So it's almost like, even though I'm a media person who places media and strategy, I get to learn so much about different organizations and different segments and verticals. And then in turn, in that exchange of business development and working with different clients, we get to build up our network and meet other wonderful women and people in our community. And that's a little bit of kind of what I wanted to bring to the episode, is kind of the softer skills and the more interpersonal skills that really have made work more enjoyable, and the energy and the motivation and the mindset that kind of goes with it. Because sometimes I can be on a day off on a vacation and get a sales lead that is better than even if I was working harder. So it's more about working smarter and using your energy in the right way to uplift all your clients and really feel like they're winning. And that's what I want to bring to today's episode.
I love mindset, and I'm looking forward to our conversation. I think we've, with prior guests, we've kind of danced around this a little bit, but we haven't really got into this idea of being authentic to your why and your mindset and motivation. So I'm really looking forward to talking with you today. So in terms of leadership, because Bosstrack is about leadership development, what is your leadership experience? Like, what have your teams look like? What does your team look like now? How do you lead?
Well, currently as the Senior VP of Sales and Marketing, I do have a team that is encompassed of about 5 or 10 individuals that I'm really working with them on a daily basis. I was actually just thinking what a cool team we have, because so many, I'd say at least 85% of my team is actually female. So as someone who's seasoned in the industry, having over 20 years of experience, it's great to see young women coming in their 20s that are working with technology, that are working in customer service, that are working in some of these more advanced technologies. And actually here I'm based in Miami, but I have a very international team. So it's really great in terms of the current leadership, because there's a lot of coaching, there's a lot of operational efficiencies, and it's less about the leadership of me doing the work, but delegating it in a way that just lifts the whole team. And so that's great to see. And in prior roles, I've had some various other experiences at other larger organizations, a media and publishing company with the Miami Herald El Nuevo Herald, which is part of the McClatchy papers. And of course, so many changes have occurred in the last 15, 20 years with regard to digital. I mean, even when I started there, which was over 10 years since I moved to this new position, email marketing was just kind of starting. There wasn't the kind of like programmatic marketing that I do today, which involves so much data. So I had other teams there, less on the individual people underneath me. It was more about different vendors and different internal stakeholders. So in other tech groups that I've been involved with, they've had some articles and questionnaires about how was it working in technology, with a team of mostly men, which is another topic. But it never, I mean, obviously a lot of people have certain ceilings in the past, and obviously that's a whole other issue, but I never really noticed it at the time, only in retrospect, thinking back, that you just have to have that kind of confidence in, like the customer voice, or having a mission with your goals. And that's a way of leading through inspiring or explaining your vision. I think I lead less by force or authoritarian, because I mean, I'm a very easygoing person, but just more through inspiration and a track record of success and growth, which is what brings us to growth mindset here anyway.
I love that you brought up inspiration, because I was just watching a Simon Sinek video, and it was talking about, if you really want to motivate your team or motivate your unmotivated people, you have to start with inspiration. You have to inspire your team. So I love that you mentioned that.
Yeah, well, just commenting. I mean, if anyone who's listening hasn't done the Finding Your Why with Simon's podcast and videos and things that he has, or even following on Instagram, he's amazing. I mean, everything he says shines with such authenticity. And he even said some things the other day I was listening, even about like people who have ADD, that it's actually a superpower. It's all about seeing your strengths and kind of honing in on it. And when you have a team that you're working with, even if it's something, I don't want to say boring, but not so exciting in the process or operations, just getting them on the same page as you, getting them to see it how your client sees it, or what's the end goal, and not just assuming that they know, because what's in your head as a leader is not always the vision and the inspiration that the team needs to really carry it through.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I wanted to circle back a little bit. I'm assuming your team is primarily virtual. Is that right?
Right now, I'd say most of the team is virtual. We have people who work in the US, and we have actually some of our team being bilingual is in Colombia and Mexico, which is great. Sometimes when I have calls with the team, and it's kind of cool, like I want to take a screenshot showing all the different countries that we're working in. And, obviously most of our clients are US based, but sometimes we even do a lot of work with other growth markets in other countries, whether it be Europe or South America. So that diversity is great to have on a team as well.
Yeah, great. Well, I love that perspective. Thank you for providing that.
Sure.
And so we're here to talk about mindset and motivation. And I'd love for you to tell everyone kind of like, what is your background and why are you passionate about that topic?
Okay. Well, first of all, my background has been in marketing and business development, kind of direct response for the last 25 years. And in that process, I used to be the person kind of behind the computer. So I have my MBA, and I always was more on the strategic side. Even before I was in marketing, I worked as a senior financial analyst at some of these larger real estate brokerages, doing the deal books and really thinking things through. But in that time, as you grow and you realize, wow, I'm not only left brain, I'm also right brain and good at integrating things. I said, you know what, I want to do more customer facing. And that's why about 6 years ago, I moved over to EKN Solutions to focus on their digital division in the United States. And in that process, even though they hired me, they actually found me on LinkedIn. So that's another plug. Use LinkedIn. It's great for networking and keeping up with what's going on in your industry. They had confidence in me that I would do well just based on my track record of success and my large network. However, because I was not as forward facing in terms of direct sales with, you know, CMOs and things, I, as a person, it wasn't imposter syndrome, but it was a little bit of, I don't want to be salesy. I'm very consultative. And so there was a little shift there that happened where I started saying, I'm helping these people. And not just kind of that voice in your head that you fake it till you make it. It was more, I really sincerely, that's what I wanted. I was at that level in my career that I didn't want to just close a sale, especially if it wasn't going to make sense for the client. I really wanted it to have impact in their business, to kind of help them in their lives and, you know, grow their business. It's always exciting to see growth. And if I could do that at one company, I can do that directly for these companies. So that's kind of where the whole mindset in business came in, because when just reframing the paradigm can really make a difference. Otherwise, background, besides just this new position where it required a paradigm shift in the role, was maybe I've been doing coaching for about 20 years. I have a personal business coach that it's not, I mean, obviously it's always good to get your feelings out, but it's really not like therapy. It's very proactive. And there's nothing wrong with specific therapy anyway. It's just more proactive in terms of, I'm stuck here. I'd like to be here. How do we get there? Or, you know, I don't know if people have seen that pie puzzle. I don't know if there's like a technical name for it, but you have different slivers in your life. And I can share some links on some of those diagrams.
Yeah.
It was really mind-blowing to see there's different slices of the pie of your life, whether it be just business, professional, personal, now moving on to the other side, spiritual, family, relationships, and your personal environment. So there's all these components. You might be a 9 in business, you know, like just doing great with your income and revenue. But if something's lacking on the personal side, or you're not taking care of yourself emotionally, or maybe even getting enough rest, or your diet, like it's off balance. And you might think, oh, nobody knows because I'm just doing awesome and crushing it at work. So, you know, that's hard to sustain over the long term. So that really spoke to me, because even if I was at some 7s, which is average, I thought, I don't want to be average. I mean, who really says like, I feel great about being average? You know, we're always like, at least if you're a professional woman who are the boss people that are on this call, right?
Yeah.
So I think that was where that mind shift kick kind of started to kick in, when I started this coaching process and realized, okay, I'm okay, I'm good, but I want to take it to the next level.
It would be great for you to provide a link for people
Sure.
to see. I kind of do the same thing for myself. Like on a weekly basis, I have those categories that I'll rate from 1 to 10. And it's not visual, but I'm just tracking kind of from a data set standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
And like from week to week, it's okay if one kind of fluctuates down, if something else fluctuates up, because you know, you can't be perfect in every role. It's just that's
Sure.
not sustainable, right?
Of
So
course
it's really just kind of, yeah. So it's like you just want to see that over a longer term, they're averaging out. So you're doing well in all of those categories.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think that's like one tool that we can
Yeah.
use in terms of just sometimes we don't always even check in with ourselves. I mean,
Mm.
these are kind of the soft skills that, like, and obviously work is one thing. You want to do well in your career if you're an entrepreneur, or, all the types of corporate opportunities that there are out there. But if you're not working on growing yourself, you're limiting your ceiling. And actually, there's another coaching program that I'm doing now, which has to do more about leadership development and energy. And I know these things kind of seem maybe like a little far out, but they're really not, because especially if you're in a client facing business, it's very important to connect with someone, obviously on your capacity level, like what are you qualified? But people want to do business with people they like,
Yeah.
that they trust, that make them feel good about the process, and so many really touchy feely things that might not come up on a spreadsheet or regular business meeting. So these are some of the, I say they're soft skills, because even like I'm on an advisory board at the University of Miami for the marketing department, and soft skills was one of the things that came up, because of course we have all these devices. For those of you who have teens and things, that different generations are just not as focused, and we have attention span things. So anyway, I just thought I would bring that up in terms of your
Yeah.
question.
Yeah. No, that's definitely an interesting uh kind of thought, like with the new generations coming up and how different people coming into the corporate world, they grew up in a whole different, they have the devices and they're very focused on being online and talking online and texting, versus before it was a lot more in person or over the phone. And there's a whole different comfort level. So it's like I can see that, or have experienced myself those differences and challenges.
Sure.
Yeah.
And even speaking of energy and intergenerational, there's some books that I've read by some of my mentors that talk about leadership in the workplace, and like lessons you might learn in parenting, or just different places. And obviously, work is work. You have to keep it professional, but some people are at work, if you're in the office environment, more than they are at home. So it's
Yeah.
like, obviously, if you see someone is suffering in some way or not performing at their best, obviously you're going to coach them to do better. But it's always good to be supportive in some way. That's another one of our roles as a leader, is bringing up the team with you. It's not just about the performance, which of course, if you bring up the team, the performance is going to come up as
Mhm.
well.
Yeah, absolutely. What does living authentically to your why mean to you?
So again, this Simon Sinek, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, but he's incredible about finding your why. Definitely recommend people doing that workshop. Um, I mean, when you're in alignment, certain projects and things just fall into place. Obviously, you just want to be authentic in what you say and what you do, because as a leader, your team sees that, and also your
Mhm.
clients see that. So for me, obviously we all have thoughts that might not be in alignment with what we want to portray, but I just think filling your mind, your heart, your spirit with your goal, it just makes it so much more powerful. I mean,
Mhm.
I've read several books on the topic, and in addition to that, I just truly feel that people sense that, and at least in my line of work, it does make an impact.
Yeah, completely agree. So I've been talking to people a lot recently about authenticity in a different kind of, you could talk about it in so many different ways or different aspects of business. It's a little bit challenging sometimes because I think this goes back to generations as well, where we want people to be authentic, but then when people say, you want me to be authentic, that means being the real me, but then that can lead to people being maybe unprofessional in a business setting because they're, being true to who they are and saying what they would say
Right.
to anybody. And
That's a good way to look
then,
at it.
yeah, so it's kind of like circled back, like, well, we want you to be your authentic self, but we want you to be your professional authentic self. And it's like the older generation's job to show and guide the younger generation what that looks like and how to do that. So I love this idea of authenticity and definitely being authentic to your why as a leader and finding what your why is. What do you advise? Oh, go ahead. You're probably answering what I was going to ask.
Oh, well, I was just thinking that when you're talking about authenticity, I mean, I haven't done a deep dive besides the workshop that I've done in it and just kind of embodying it for myself, which luckily, just because of personal and professional reasons, try to keep my professional and personal authentic self similar. So yes, I remember in my 20s how different it was, and that's another conversation. But yeah, for sure. But I think some of your authenticity and all of that comes from your goals and your inspiration. So maybe just follow up with that question you had, because I think that could be helpful.
Yeah, well, my question was going to be, and I don't know if you have an answer for this, but like, how do you figure out what your why is? Like for people that don't necessarily know that.
Right. Okay. So besides doing the workshop, which was just amazing, I'd say a few things. One is move where your joy is. Now, okay, is work going to always be joy? You know how they have those adages, if you're doing what you love, you're never working a day in your life. And I think for some artisans and different types of professional athletes and, artists, for sure they are living their why in doing the kind of work. And even you doing these podcasts, like, I know you had some other background before, which I don't know if you have your bio on it, but I just think everybody's story there as you grow in maturity in the workplace, you start trying things that really inspire you and are more in alignment with your why. So I'd say just chasing your joy, as long as it pays the bills, and you can dabble on the side, or like I am also inspired by community service and things. So I do a lot of that kind of volunteer work, which also raises my leadership and helps me with networking. So it's a win-win. But other people just following what makes them feel good, which I know that sounds kind of silly, but it really works. All of the peace and joy that you feel volunteering or doing things on your side hustle or whatever that is. Also, I'm a big fan of getting to know the people on your team and their strengths and weaknesses, because when you know what your strengths are, you might realize, oh, I'm pretty good at this, but maybe nobody's really like told you, or you haven't called that out so specifically yet. I mean, it probably will be obvious for most people, but sometimes it's not. So taking, the Myers-Briggs test, or, some of these strength finder tests, those links are available. We could provide them. It's really cool because sometimes you read those explanations, you're like, wow, this is so right on. How did they know, this about me type of thing. And then obviously everybody's different. Everybody has their own natural personality, but some of those strengths or areas, like say I'm sensitive. Well, maybe that's good when I'm dealing with a client. Maybe that's not the best in certain interpersonal situations. So it's cool. It's cool to know yourself more, because that can only help you grow in the areas that you want to, or that make an impact.
Yeah. That's great. And then how would somebody know if they're not living authentically to their why?
Well, I would actually love to do like a 360 review at some point. I think I'm okay with receiving some feedback. Obviously there's always, I don't want to say haters, because, we don't want to think of anyone that way, but I think sometimes friends or family will give you authentic feedback if you ask for it. Or you might just sense it, if you just feel off, or like for example, in my personality test, I always get, in the Myers-Briggs, I always get the IN to start. So an introvert and intuitive, which I know because I think best in silence and intuitively. However, my kids will be like, Mom, you're the most social person I know. What do you're so friendly and this and that. And I'm like, yeah, but that's not how I recharge.
Yeah.
So if I have too many meetings or I don't have enough downtime to reflect, I'm not living authentically to my best me. So then even today, like I just had lunch with a friend and I said, wow, I really need to schedule some downtime. Obviously we're working, you work full time, but just like a few slots between meetings or different things that could help you be more in alignment so that you don't feel out of control or you don't feel off your best version of yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to get too off topic, but just thinking about strengths finders or the Myers-Briggs test. Have
Mhm.
you ever done anything with your team as like a team building activity for everybody to do it and use that to understand each other?
I want to do that with my new team actually. I haven't. um, just because, just some of the operational things, but I would
Yeah.
like to, which is a good thought. But we did do that at my last job. The leader of our team did it, and it was really cool actually to do because you kind of start knowing your team after a while, but just seeing it on paper can really help. And I think as a manager, some companies have hiring practices. I know like in the financial services industry, usually they have those tests or certain fields,
Yeah.
maybe insurance or whatnot. But I think it's great to have because the person working in the ad agency environment, the person doing the creative ads is going to have a different mindset than the head of tech, and then
Yeah.
sometimes your lenses are different. And that
Yeah.
just makes total sense. And just how to meet in the middle, like functionality versus creativity type of thing. It doesn't have to be at odds, but it's just nice to have that diversity and understand the group you're working with a little better.
Yeah. Yeah, I did that with my management team at my last role. And it was really interesting because I was looking at it more as a team building, like I'm getting to know them better because we were probably 2 years into working together. And I was happy with the effect that it had on them as a team, how they interacted with each other as peers, because there, between a couple of the people, there was some tension in how somebody wanted to approach something and somebody else would like look at that in a certain way without getting into too much detail. When we had everybody take the test, and then we got together over, I think, drinks or dinner and kind of talked about our results. Like you could see the light bulbs going off and them talking to each other about, oh, I understand where you're coming from now when you do this thing. And it really opened up this conversation for everybody to really be open to communication. It was one of those feel good moments of being a leader.
Yeah, it's cool. And actually we did the strength finders in one of these women in tech groups that I was in that was kind of like a forum.
Mhm.
Oh, as you can tell, I'm a big fan of the coaching and the groups because you're only learning more about yourself. And it was neat because it was so many women in tech that some of us had a lot of the same strengths. Granted, we weren't on the same team, so that's fine because obviously on a team you want to have multiple strengths. It was
Mhm.
interesting. Well, that was kind of confirmed. Okay, well, even though I'm in the marketing and sales part of tech, it's kind of nice that I'm matching up with these tech people who are actually programmers or software people because it makes sense that you can speak to the same language. It is a secret language when you think about it,
Yeah.
the way you communicate. So,
Yeah. And I know for you personally, when we initially talked, I know you mentioned some personal things that maybe helped you shape your own mindset. Are there
yeah,
some things you could share?
definitely. Sure, I'd love to. Okay, so I'm trying to think when I got involved in all this, but I definitely had the more recent things that I can recall is I have a really good friend who for some reason follows like this cool influencer on Instagram who his name is Jesse Itzler and wife is Sarah Blakely, and obviously people know her, especially professional women, because self-made billionaire of Spanx and all of this. So he's an entrepreneur in his own right, but he really is into this mindset thing. I guess as a serial entrepreneur and just the way he thinks. He's what do you call it? Like not even just a long distance runner. It's the kind of runners that they don't just do a marathon. They do like these like
Yeah.
extreme sports. So anyway, I don't know. My friend was like, I think you're the only person who would want to do this with me. So they're having this camp for his coaching program. And would you like to do it with me? Because actually I had done a marathon before and a few half marathons. So I already was like into this whole holistic thing of like pushing your limits and doing things that you'd like to do. I just didn't formalize it or talk about it much. So I said, okay, I'll do the camp. And it was so cool because part of the camp was you have a day where you do some things you've never done before, like these 4-hour endurance runs in the mountains, like not only running in the mountains, but also doing like all these squats and deadlifts and sandbags. And like, it sounds overwhelming, but I was like, okay, I'll do it. Let's see how good I am at it. And you were supposed to train in advance and do all of that. So I said, okay, I'll check it out. So I trained, I went, and I was so pleasantly surprised because not only did I do that experience and do better than I expected, they had a whole coaching element of it the night before. So they brought in this expert who was actually from the Marines, who kind of just explained how badly you have to want it and like focusing and like what's the worst that can happen. I mean, yes, you could fall and hurt yourself or be exhausted or whatever, but he's like, you're not going to die in the chair. So just that expression is just like, go for it. Like, don't leave anything on the table. And how often do we really just like go for it at that level, like when we have a goal? That really shifted something with me, and then I guess being in that environment where everybody was like trying to elevate their standards, you're not just in the comfort zone, and sometimes you need that to kind of realize, yes, I can take it to this level. So that was cool. They had a speaker from Great Britain that I follow, that she did this cool exercise where like you put your arm out and then you go like this, and then she's like, okay, now tell your arm you're wonderful, you can go further, and then like you go double the amount. And it's a silly exercise, but it just shows you like the first try you can always do better if you put your mind to it. So it was that whole shift. And then you do like an ice bath for like 4 minutes, and things that are just like, they seem crazy, but they're cool because when you finish, you feel like you could conquer anything. And actually that group, I did a coaching thing with them as well last year, where you put on the calendar all these cool things you want to do and accomplish. And then through that, I'm doing a new one this summer in June called 29029, which is the elevation of Mount Everest. Now, I've never hiked a mountain. I'm not hiking Mount Everest or Mount Kilimanjaro, but it's like in the summer, you go up a mountain like 8 times in a certain time period. It's like, I'm going to be at a certain decade and I want to accomplish these things because why not, So just always pushing it. I guess it's an adrenaline shot too. So it's kind of cool.
I love that. I think he has like the big ass calendar. I don't know if that's part of that program.
That's what I did with that's what I did. I didn't know if people knew about it, but it's really neat because if you put your goals on the paper and you say, this is if they call it a misogi, I guess it's a Japanese word that means, well, I don't know what it means exactly, but it's just your one big goal for the year. So that if you look back on the year, what was that standout moment? Like, did a marathon, I did this trip of a lifetime, I wrote a book, like something really cool that each year, if you have something like that, I redecorated my home, I, put my kids through college, whatever it is kind of a big impact thing that you can do. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. And I think another thing I saw, like every year they have this big hill in their backyard, and they invite people over, and it's this whole, I don't know how many times they do it, but it's like everybody has to run up and down the hill a certain number of times.
I think they call that hell on a hill, but I've never done that myself. I'm actually in the process of writing a spiritual book now, and one of the people I met called the Book Carver, he's done it. So to ask him how it went. That's a more private thing. And you got to, so many people in the group are so into these things, they find out about it first and then they're like sold out. But it's so cool. It's really, for me, I mean, not everyone, some people might be like, I'm happy sitting on the couch, relaxing on the weekend. I don't want to train for these crazy things. But to me, it was fun.
Yeah. So with pushing your limits, do you have any advice for everybody listening that kind of how to do that? Is it really recognizing what your big goal is and really just trying to push through and do it?
Well, I feel like it's interesting having this conversation because if someone said, like, what are your goals for this year?
Hmm.
Not really have any specific ones that I can say, oh, this is what I want to accomplish. However, if you really just even take the time, like this calendar thing, putting your calendar, thinking, okay, it's this month now. In 3 months, is there something I want to do? Or is there something besides like a family trip or something cool that you want to do for yourself? Learn a language, whatever. And you don't have to master it in that year. Just
Hmm.
open the Duolingo app and get started. And I'm a big believer in you don't have to be a perfectionist. You just start something. And if it feels right and you like it, keep going. I mean, I don't, the whole Marines thing, I'm not saying do something that makes you so uncomfortable that it's like a horrible situation. Even if it's just like being a little healthier or 10% happier. There's a book called that talks about meditation and things.
Right.
So, and that's another thing that I kind of started, in the last 5, 10 years, which is life changing. Just get started, see where it takes you. If it's a growth thing and it adds joy or positivity to your life, you're going to increase your threshold just naturally. So that's
Hmm.
what I would recommend in terms of sticking to your goals. And you can make it comfortable for yourself that you're not doing it at a pace that it's just overwhelming, because then we'll burn out. So, like, say, it's fitness. So I implemented an app called My Fitness Pal. I'm not gonna log in here, but it's an app here, My Fitness Pal. And
Hmm.
then when I feel like it, I track, am I getting my macros? Am I, getting my steps? Small things. And it has to be something you can keep up, because you don't want to start something and then not do it. Just like everyone's resolutions, I don't know. There's a
Yeah.
study that says people don't finish the resolution. So don't make so many. Just do one thing that or two that you're kind of interested in, and see where it takes you.
Yeah, totally agree. And I would say that for people listening, I would recommend reading Tiny Habits or Atomic Habits. Like both of those books really help kind of look at learning something new or doing something and just taking it in very small steps and understanding that you're going to start out on a slope, making very slight progress that you don't even realize, but 30 days, 2 months, you'll be, if you take those tiny steps, you'll be so far along. Like you said, like look at it in big chunks, like don't overwhelm yourself, just take those small steps and you're more likely to reach those goals or that mindset or that health level that you're looking for.
Right, and you don't have to go it alone. If you're into the working out, get a trainer or join a
Yeah.
group, or those kind of things kind of like push you, because it's fun at the same time. So anything you're doing that's a little more fun is great. And I love the idea of those books. That reminded me of this thing that I studied in a neuroscience class once, which, see, all these things I'm bringing up really don't necessarily specifically tie to my marketing role, but I kind of did them on the side because they do, because it was a class called Neuroscience and Business held at MIT. And I was just fascinated with how, when you connect with your clients on a different level, how things just like elevate, so this whole idea. And they did teach us in the class, when you study something new, it turns on the synapses in certain part of your brain,
Yeah.
which actually help your whole brain develop more gray matter and all of these things. So if our mind and our mindset is our superpower, and you can meditate or learn new things and kind of activate more parts of your brain, you're only going to elevate your experience. So it's like I intuitively knew some of these things. That's why I was drawn to them. But studying, it's scientific proof that if you start these new things and you activate certain parts of your brain, it's going to help in other areas. So that's pretty.
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that because I'm actually doing this 23-day try something new challenge because I think I mentioned I journal every day. I journal weekly, monthly. And one of the things that I try to make sure that I'm doing every week is trying something new because, it's good for your brain. It's good for thinking outside of the box and being creative. And I've had that as a goal for a year or two, and I've been terrible with it. So when we switched over to the new year, I was like, okay, I saw everybody doing these 23-day this, 23-day that. I was like, oh, maybe I should just do a 23-day, try something new challenge. So I've really been trying every day to learn something new or do something different. And it's been a challenge to do that, but it's really been a fun experience. So I've been sharing on social media.
Oh, that's cool. I have to follow you now
Yeah.
on social media. So to
Yeah.
see that, like what are some of the, I mean, just one or two, it would be cool to know what are some new things that you can try. Is it like new restaurants? Like what kind, I mean, that's just fun, but
Yeah.
what kind of things can they be?
I feel like I've been hard on myself because new restaurants, like being here in Miami, just feels like it's too easy. Like I could just do 23 days of trying a new restaurant every day. I did try new food once, but I've been trying to like focus more on experiences. Like I learned origami, how to do origami. I learned how to crochet. I learned how to make candles,
Oh,
just different
interesting.
things like that. It's
Oh, neat.
yeah, it was supposed to be 23 days straight, but I've had some things happen in my personal life that hasn't allowed for that. So I'm trying to be a little more lenient on myself that okay, if I
Sure.
skip it, miss a day or two, it's okay. But yeah, it's been a great experience. And I definitely recommend building that into everybody's weekly or even monthly. Start out small every month, have something new that you just try.
Something new on your calendar that you just look forward to, or
Yeah,
culturally I love that you said obviously your whole thing was the 23 days, but just opening it up. So like, even if we're talking about mindset and we're high achievers, I love that you said that because it reminds me of something that I learned along the way, and like a women's group actually for working moms that said, be kind to yourself. And
mm,
actually someone, I said it on a panel and someone actually took it and made a sign about it. I mean, people talk about this. I think that that's the biggest secret weapon
yeah,
in anybody's growth. Like, I mean, obviously you don't want to keep being late for meetings or something. That's like a grace, but you gotta give yourself grace. If you're 3 to 5 minutes late, don't drive in traffic like crazy. People will understand. If you have a personal situation and you just are straightforward, people understand. And so let's give ourselves that same grace, because the more you love yourself and embody your situation, even if you're overwhelmed with something and someone asks you for something, you say, I can't right now. That's honoring yourself. That's being authentic to yourself. So even in the process of the goal setting and the mindset of doing your best, you still give yourself grace. You can't be perfect all the time. And sometimes we have standards for ourselves that nobody would have for ourselves, right?
yeah,
And sometimes even in that mindset, we see things and we're so critical of ourselves. We're 360 around you, everybody's happy with it. So why are
yeah.
we have those voices in our head. I don't know how many thoughts run through our mind each day. Let's try to make most of them positive, so we're building ourselves up instead of tearing ourselves down. That as women or anybody, I think that that's the best way to be a boss, right?
Yes. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think everybody should take that and put it on their board or bulletin board or as a screensaver or something. That's so true. And everybody's always going to be guilty of doing that, and they just have to recognize it and be lenient on themselves.
Yeah, and I mean, not to get so hokey because it's business, but again, I'm bringing this to the topic. Is this thought coming from love? Is this thought serving me,
Hmm.
and that's going to elevate your energy. And I don't even want to use these hokey terms, vibes, but I mean, if you're all about lifting up people, you're going to lift up yourself, and it's just going to raise the whole atmosphere. Granted, you can still have critical feedback and ways to improve,
Yeah.
but in a way, okay, this assessment, we didn't do as well here as we want. And actually this came up in another situation where we were talking about, see, I don't know enough about Google and how they do it, but they have some like moonshot group where they set these crazy goals. And then they say, well, if we get to 80%, then that's a success, which of course, if we get a B or an 80%, we'll be like, that's not so great. But if you make such moonshot goals and you get there, you're winning, So
Right.
I like that mentality. We're not going to be perfect. Let's just do
Hmm.
the best we can and just elevate in the process. So
Yes, 100% agree. Now, I'd like to move on. Do you have anything else you want to share with about mindset before I kind of shift our conversation?
no, I think that's been great.
Okay, thank you. So, going back to leadership, is there something you wish you would have known when you started out as a leader?
It's interesting. I had my own business in my early 20s. And I mean, I think obviously now we know we need a team to make things work, right?
Hmm.
And I think I should have looked for more opportunities to have that operational person to kind of help me. Even didn't have to be a business partner. I wish I just realized, okay, I'm lacking in this area instead of just trying to do it all, just kind of ask for help.
Hmm.
That's not a weakness, that's definitely a strength. So now in retrospect, that's one leadership skill that I mean, it seems common sense in a big organization, but if you're
Right.
an entrepreneur, that another thing I've seen in the leadership side is so many people that I work with in business. Obviously, the larger companies, not a problem, but some of the smaller companies, not getting that funding, not because, I mean, if you look at some of these huge VC companies and big ideas, so many of the men are getting the funding.
Hmm.
Sometimes, even if you have on paper like the right kind of growth and track record, it's maybe, I don't know if it's a fear or just out of the comfort zone, because as women we're so resourceful and like to do things maybe more organically. So that's another leadership lesson that has happened to me, and also that I see in the
Yeah.
field. Those are just two I can share. Yeah.
Yeah, I do understand that. And just like I think I actually have got that answer from maybe a couple of different people about knowing to ask for help. So I don't think that's necessarily just an entrepreneur.
Right.
And we actually talk about that in our leadership development programs is, it's okay. You don't have to have all the answers. It's
Right.
you're learning to be a leader, and you have a team that supports you, and you have hopefully you have a mentor, and you're surrounding yourself with people, and don't be afraid to ask the question and ask for help.
Oh yeah. Most
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah. I agree.
And speaking of mentors, do you have a mentor that you can think back to or have currently that has really helped you significantly in your career?
Yeah, I'd say I've had a few mentors, luckily, and just different things where I've worked where I had role models. The first one I'd say was in one of my jobs when I worked at the Miami Herald. I kind of came in to do a service project where I was leading it in terms of event management and things like that. And actually, the person who led that, she's a dear friend, Opal. She's still a mentor to me in a certain way because she's always learning new things. And actually now, decades, I'm not aging her, but she was already maybe 30 years older than me at the time. So, but she gave me that experience. She gave me that belief in myself that you can do it. She had to leave for something medical at the time, and even though I was helping on this level, she asked me to fill in here, and it was a big responsibility, and in doing so it really raised my confidence and track record, which actually helped me get a job. So in that sense, she was my mentor, and she's always there to kind of help me. So that's great. And now sometimes it goes the other way. If she's starting a new venture, she'll ask my opinion, or if she has a question about digital. So it's that kind of environment where you feel supported and you can help each other grow. I also am blessed in my life to be related to my aunt who leads a multinational company. So just family wise, even though we don't have like specific lessons or, it's not like we do business together. She, when I was younger as well, she'd say, would you like to volunteer for this conference? Or she like brought me in the room for a few different opportunities where I was in the room with different CMOs at this like high level conference she was in that I wouldn't get to go to that on my own, but she brought me as her guest. So just
Yeah.
those kind of things, just being in the room, having a seat at the table, and kind of learning through shadowing, learning how is someone pushing the envelope. Like again, she's a few decades older, and wow, even starting a business for someone back then, it's funny we forget because there's so many women entrepreneurs and business owners and CEOs now. I mean, not enough, but
Right.
board membership. So imagine doing that 30 years ago.
Right.
So just seeing her model that behavior and how she gets along with people with different cultures, that's been a huge help to me. And I've told her, I mean, she's my family, so it's a different situation, but just seeing her accomplish that makes me realize like we don't have a ceiling, just the ones we place there. At least in her situation, she had that benefit for herself. So at least it gives me hope that, we can get to a higher level career wise or financially or whatever we're trying to do.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why we're all here trying to
Right.
lift everybody up and get more women in those positions. Do you have a daily routine that you attribute your wellness or well-being to that you do in the morning, evening?
Yeah, so this is a great question. I love it because I kind of alluded earlier about the 10% happier thing.
Mhm.
And I kind of mentioned meditation. So this kind of happened to me kind of out of the box in the sense that I had the opportunity to start meditating because when I had my younger daughter, I wasn't sleeping that well. And I thought, oh, do I have sleep apnea? I had
Wow.
this most amazing doctor. He was actually Indian. And he said, I don't think you have sleep apnea. I think you just need to relax and unwind before sleep. I recommend meditation. I'm on the board of Mindful Kids Miami. You should check it out. And that changed my life. I'd say that was
Mm.
one of the best things that I've done that really helped me become more confident, more centered, more relaxed, less anxious. I was able to really learn how to center myself. And through that meditation and centering myself, I was able to just gain some skills that really shifted things for me, just in terms of confidence and focus. Focus really the most important because you know how
Mhm.
distracted we all are, shifting from this meeting to that, doing family and personal things. Just it's a lot to handle, and just so much coming at us from the media and social and whatever else we're trying to tackle. So I think that was really a big thing that changed my lifestyle. So I started doing a little meditation wind down in the evenings. And I'll just share with you the one that I love doing is called the
Yeah.
Honest Guys. It's, you can train in mindfulness or, certain different types of meditation or at a yoga studio or whatnot. But this is just about quieting the mind, refocusing your attention, and trying to live in the present moment. So I do it before bed just because that's when my mind is racing. You don't want to have a lot of ideas in your mind right before you go to bed.
Right. Yeah.
So that's part of my routine there. And then in the morning, I mean it's look, I have kids. It's hard in the morning to have quiet time unless you wake up super early, which some people like to do. So what I do in the morning to kind of keep my routine is first of all, I love my dog. I know everyone who has a pet loves their pet, but it's just like pure joy because it's like you take care of them and they're awesome. So of course I'm going to say hi to my kids. I'll let the dog out kind of thing, but I have a routine. I still do the coffee thing but I'll sit in Miami. I have a great backyard. It's nice weather most of the time when it's not too hot. And
Yeah.
I just sit there and my kids know they're old enough now that they handle their breakfast, they have their lunch already packed the night before. And I take that half an hour, whatever it is, right before I take them to school to just sit, be in peace, try not to talk too much in the morning because the quiet mind, whatever you slept on is going to surface. And I really don't pick up my phone. So I
Yeah.
don't know if you've heard that. I love that. And the only thing I'll do when I pick up my phone is like, I use an app that, I'll pray or set my intention for the day. And I find it really peaceful because you start the day off, um, with a tone that you're not just like worried about answering someone's email. That doesn't mean you don't care, because trust me, I've answered client emails on the weekends or the evenings
Yeah.
or whenever, but I don't have to do that at 6:30 in the morning or 7.
Mhm.
I mean, it can wait till 8:30 or 9 or whatever that is. So that first half hour of the day, it's not even an hour, is just kind of doing that and then getting on with what I have to do. But for some reason, when you give yourself that space and you take care of yourself and your, at least for me, it's like spiritual and emotional needs, it seems to clear the path for me. So I can share that routine. Those two things have really been incremental for me in my
Yeah.
schedule. Yeah.
When you meditate in the evening, how long do you meditate?
Well, I think when I first did the class, when the doctor kind of recommended, I was all in. It was like an 8-week course, and I was like always doing it. But sometimes they say it has to be so long, it doesn't.
Right.
Some of these videos that I do from the Honest Guides are like 20 minutes. And maybe I'm not even like doing it officially meditating like someone else would. It's just listening to a voice, clearing your mind, clearing your to-do list, breathing, just focusing on uplifting things, or just not focusing on anything at all. I mean, how often do we just take an evening and just like not do something?
Right.
Whether it's gaming, TV, reading, social. Like, I know this sounds, I mean, I don't want to be boring or anything, but like sometimes I don't want to go on social media. I mean, obviously I'll look at LinkedIn or Instagram for work
Yeah.
some days, but some days I don't feel like it and I feel myself better. Sometimes I don't want to watch the news. Actually, most days I don't.
Mhm.
I'm not to be ignorant. I want to know what's happening in the world or read the business, but if I'm not, you have to be kind to yourself. Is that resonating with how you feel for the day? Do you have other things you want to do and you don't want to get lost in the web of clicking on things? That's a choice. That's a personal choice. So,
Yeah, no, it seems very healthy for your mind. And
little
just to,
vacation.
yeah, exactly. And were you saying is it the honest guys or the honest
Yeah,
guides?
the honest guys. They're these British
Okay.
guys that they have like the most soothing voice, and they have
Okay.
like beach sounds, and I mean, check it out for yourself. I mean, there's certain ones that are very cut and dry, inner peace or helping you fall asleep. And to me, they're very soothing. I mean, I could listen to the same one over and over. It's fun.
Wonderful.
The accent, I think the honest
Yeah.
guys are British. They sound cool.
And we talked a little bit about confidence earlier. I guess a couple times it came up. Is there a song that you rely on or that you'll go to if you need a little confidence boost or you need some energy to get through the afternoon or prepare for a meeting?
Not really. I'll be honest. I don't want to be boring. I don't have like a one go-to song, but there's certain songs that pump you up, right? Like,
Hmm.
I'm Invincible. There's that one. That one's awesome. But it's different songs for different things, Like I
Yeah.
try to go with my mood. If I'm at the gym, I want like a fun, pumped up song, maybe even like hip hop or whatever. Then if I'm in the car, I want a soothing song. Now I got a car where they have karaoke, which is a really cool thing. And my 9-year-old loves to put it on, and she likes other ones, like it's funny, sometimes pop like Katy Perry, Roar, but nothing specific for a specific time usually. No,
Yeah.
but
Oh,
that's
no, those
really
are good
cool.
ones. Yeah.
Or like, I guess all those sports people, they have like bring them out, like when they're like, but I don't have one of those. Maybe if I ever speak on stage or do something really out of my comfort zone, I'll have to get one.
Yeah, you'll need your walkout song.
Yeah, exactly.
And then one of the things we started asking, because we really want to try to offer tools, not only advice, but tools that can help people in their lives, maybe help improve their lives, make things easier, or just something
Mhm.
interesting and fun. Is there something that you bought for 100, like around 100 or less dollars that has kind of changed your life?
wouldn't exactly say I have something that's this miracle thing, like, but you know how
Yeah.
Oprah has her favorite things. So
Yeah.
I shared with you some of the free tools that are, the apps and, the thing to track the food, or like a prayer app or a meditation app or a cool thing. So those are all freebies. So that's always great. Little things like, say, when's the last time that you took time for yourself to take a bath or something? So my sister-in-law was like, "Oh, what? Try these magnesium salts. I mean, those aren't inexpensive." Because she says, it's not only just like you're taking the time, like the actual magnesium is like a very healing thing, or like a vitamin, or something that you're doing good for yourself. But like, no, there's no magical candle or something that really has changed my life that I can really share with everybody. But just like those little things, or something that makes you happy, that maybe it's just fresh flowers. I mean, maybe we're not doing this for ourselves every week because, it's costly, or, it's not your thing. But I have this place right outside of my home office where I kind of put like my things that make me happy. And like I have
Yeah.
this beautiful like artwork crystal tree, and I have a candle that says boss mom, and then I have like, I have like other things that just uplift me. So fresh flowers, sometimes I love yellow roses, so sometimes like
Mm.
I'll put them there, little things. And it's going to be different for every person, so just those things that make you happy, and just treat yourself sometime. You don't need someone else to get it for you, get it for yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, maybe I need to rephrase this question. It doesn't, yeah, not doesn't have to be a life changer. So maybe I
Yeah.
have to kind of think about that. But those are some great ones.
Cool.
I love the magnesium bath. I was doing that when I was running,
Oh yeah.
and I kind of got away from doing that. But it is very healthy for your body.
Yeah, I got away from it too, but when you asked the question, she actually reminded me this morning.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's a good one.
Do you have the time to read, being a mom and a businesswoman? And if you have read something recently, is there something you'd recommend to the audience, or maybe even something you haven't read recently?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, I don't, again, I'm not like, some of the things I like to read might not vibe with everybody on here, but I definitely like to read things that are like more philosophical, or like neuroscience, and
Yeah.
spiritual. So one that was recommended to me that I really like is Letting Go by, I think it's David Hawkins. It's about, I mean, in a nutshell, it was something really cool that kind of talked about different levels of living your life in a vibration, So just like Maslow has the pyramid of like needs, this is more like, okay, you can come from a place of fear, or you can come from a place of frustration, or how do you start surrendering and letting go, so you're always coming from a place of reason, or even love, or even joy. And thinking of it as a pyramid really shifted things for me, because I noticed, of course there's things that are going to upset you, even piss you off, to the level that, you're complaining. And like, even if you have a right to, okay, how can I reframe that? How can I get it off my chest so I'm not blocked, and just like talk to the person, or just like elevate it to a win-win, or just like look at it from reason versus like suffering. I thought that was really cool. So I read books like that.
I haven't heard of that one. I'm gonna check that one out. I know we've kind of gone over a little bit on time, so I really appreciate the time that you've taken. I have two things. Is there anything more that you wanted to leave the audience with that you maybe haven't mentioned, or you just want to reinforce? And then second, if is it okay for the audience to reach out to you if they have any questions or want to chat about something? And if so, how can they do that?
Well, first of all, I really enjoyed this time together. It was
Yeah.
amazing to connect with you, and I just love what you're offering to your audience. So I'm glad I could just be a part of that. And it's interesting because without preparing anything, all of these topics are things I'm just really passionate about. So I'm just happy to share. So nothing new and specific, but just like hopefully it touched someone that, it's not far out to like really think of things on a different level than the material level,
Mhm.
because sometimes you grind it out, you're working hard, and just have to work smarter, which kind of involves looking at things a whole different way. So I hope that that came across. And then, of course, I would always love to be a resource for anybody. Sometimes I'll speak at the university about marketing and business, but then I end up chatting on LinkedIn on a message with someone about service or volunteer work. So please, anybody, connect with me on LinkedIn, Renee Lopez-Cantera, and just message me. Usually I actually look at them. So I'm happy to connect with you and be of service in any way that I can.
Great. Renee, I want to say too that I've enjoyed this conversation, and I'm glad you came on, and you've provided a lot of information that I think is hopefully people will take and really put into practice, especially the mindset and the meditation and how to take those small steps. It's really great advice. So thank you for
Oh,
sharing your time and being
my
on today.
pleasure. It was definitely my pleasure. I enjoyed it. Great
Yeah.
kicking it up with you, Michelle.
Well, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I will talk with you soon.
Sounds great.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hi, everyone. This is Michelle again. Just one more thing before you take off. If you've enjoyed this podcast, consider joining our Patreon at patreon.com/Bosstrack, or sign up for our free weekly newsletter. It's easy to sign up and easy to cancel. Every Monday, we send out a short, exclusive newsletter of what we found during the week that we're excited about, we're inspired by, and we're watching and reading. If you'd like to check it out, just to go to thebosstrack.com/newsletter. Just type that into your browser, thebosstrack.com/newsletter. Drop in your email and you'll get the very next one. Thanks for listening.